voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Welcome to INCRadio Oregon, where our brethren from different parts of Oregon, Washington, California, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming greet you. Come get to know all of our brethren from the Ecclesiastical District of Oregon and explore our activities, experiences, and sceneries. This is Oregon.
Hi everyone. I love Oregon's intro so much, so I had to do that. Hello everyone who's tuning into INCRadio Oregon. I am not Sister Flo, but I am Sister Tony Rose Valenzuela, broadcasting from Sterling Heights. We're broadcasting on behalf of some of the Oregon crew today. We're just here to help them out a little bit. But it's not just me. I have some of my two good friends who you may have just seen with me. Well, they were mostly the ones talking in the last show of INCRadio Northern Midwest. So let's say hi to them. Reversal this time. I don't know who to call him first. Maybe I'll call him EJ first because we're kind of matching a little bit.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Also, I'm John. Welcome to Strive. Or you can just call me EJ live here from Rockford. I'm in Illinois today. So today, well, I'm in Illinois every day. It's not just the two. So I'm gonna call one of my friends here too. Also in Illinois. I get a lot of introducers.
Hi everyone. I feel like I just went like not 2 hours back in time. How long is it to drive there to Oregon? I'm not sure, but it's 2 hours behind us. But hi everyone, Abriel Romero from Bloomingdale, Illinois, near Chicago. See, I had to do like a mini geography lesson. So you could just say Chicago, sure, why not? But thanks for having us on the Oregon broadcast today.
Yes, so excited. I already see a lot of people commenting away there in Team Live Chat. Hello to everyone who's tuning in. Hopefully we'll get to some of your greetings later on. But of course, we want to start the show already because it's a very interesting and engaging topic that we have for everyone today. And we hope that all of you can also comment your thoughts with us. Let us know what your thoughts are on making effective decisions. So the key word there is effective, right? Not just making decisions, but effective decisions. Maybe like actually figuring out what you're going to eat for dinner and not like just one example of those things, right? So we hope everyone who's there commenting in Team Live Chat, don't forget about the hashtag challenge that we have as well. So make sure that you hashtag your local congregation. And if you're out of district, you can also do that as well. And please stay to the end of the program. We do want to see all of you go through the program with us and let us know your thoughts on this. So this idea of making decisions, right? It's something that we do every day. We do it every moment, possibly. Sometimes it can be instantaneous. It's very quick in our minds. They help us in every step of our life. They help shape our path, right? And they can be small, they can be big, but knowing how to make them effective or making our decisions effective, it's very crucial to growing and improving as we are. So we're going to discuss that today, and some things to think about when we're talking about this is kind of figuring out how we personally do it, depending on what stage of life we're in, right? Because I feel like when you're a child, your decision making is not quite for those younger ones who might be listening.
Right? You leave the decision making to your parents when you're a kid.
Yeah, when you're younger, and then as you when you're a little bit older, like when you're going to school, you start to it gets a little bit more with responsibilities, and then you start up more after that once you're in college on your own. So that's some things to kind of think about. Everyone's different perspective when we go into this. So what are some things that you guys consider when you're making decisions, EJ and Abe? What are some things that come to mind? And even for Team Live Chat, what are the first things that you consider when you're making decisions? It could be as simple as,
Options.
making dinner, or what are you going to eat, or what you put on for what to wear for that day, stuff
Like
like
my
that.
options, I know I always think of like what my options are for, like, let's say for food, right? Do I eat do you eat chicken and rice, or do I eat chicken with bread, like in a sandwich? Right? And so like I know that's like a very very light example, but that's one of the things that I always consider. I always consider first what my options are when it comes to like decision making. Like also applies to like what to wear. Like what style do I go with? What style do I go with today? Uh, which article of clothing do I want to be the main focus, where I build my outfit around that around that item. So
Mm.
so options, I would say, is like what I first consider.
Okay, options. That's a nice way to. So in order to make a decision, right, you have to actually see what you can choose from,
What
right?
are your options?
Right. What are your options? Okay. So that's a very fundamental thing that we might not realize that, oh yeah, you got to see what you actually can choose, right? Because you can't really pick out something that's not there. Right? Abe, for you, what are some things that come to mind when it comes to making decisions? Some of the things that you consider before getting into it.
So the first thing I thought of was, is the decision just for myself, or is it for other people? Like, if you're like working in a group or something and you're maybe the one leading it, your decision is going to affect other people. And personally, I'm just one who kind of takes into account their capabilities, their emotions, or their, feedback. So that's something I consider when it comes to making a decision. Um, because I don't like I'm not one who intentionally wants to make someone feel bad because of a decision I made. Like I feel really guilty if something goes wrong. It's just put a lot of weight on my shoulders. That just happens to be how I work sometimes. But getting others, opinions and views into account is something I highly consider if a decision I make is for, a group. But overall, I think what you mentioned earlier was a growth and improvement. That is something that I look for. If it's going to make, everyone around me better, in a sense, if that decision again is for a group of people, then yeah, that is something that I would lean toward.
So the pressure for you, if I were to ask you to cook dinner or to pick where we're
Mhm.
going to eat for dinner, that would that would be stressful a little bit because we don't
True.
want to disappoint.
Speaking of options, like, because I don't know, food
I
was the
would
best
say
topic the best example to talk about with options, but like, there's different cuisines maybe you want to try, your budgets that you have to consider. Maybe if someone's allergic to something, then you have to consider all of those into account. There's many variables when it comes to making
you give
decisions
them.
and
I
also.
would think if you give them the options, the options, right? You're like, we can go to this seafood place.
Mhm,
Is anyone like allergic to seafood,
mhm.
shellfish, fish? No. Y'all want to eat seafood, or or maybe you're not in the mood for seafood. We can go to a ramen place instead.
Yeah. And then like my minds keep going now. Like maybe how far is it from everyone else? Like location. What time does it open or close?
I would say
Everyone.
for that, you pick a neutral meetup spot, like a neutral
Mm,
where it's like equal distance for everyone to,
Wow.
okay.
to
But
meet
then
up.
I then
But
I
you
think
just
of,
kind of
has
go
everyone
around that
been there
area.
before?
Yeah, you
Or
go around like that area. Like what are our options in this area?
Okay, so that's very forward thinking, very considerate, if that's the word that I can say. You both sound very considerate in in your decision making. So for those in team live chat, I don't know if they've put some comments there already. I do see one from Sister Rachel Cruz. She said organization, prioritization, brainstorming, and collaboration for better decision making. I feel like that kind of summarizes a little bit of what what you guys have mentioned. So some of the research here that was done by those who helped produce this topic, some steps that we can think about is one, determine what needs to be decided and what your options are. Two, research. So kind of similar to what you guys have mentioned. Take the time to understand the benefits and costs of each choice, right? Talk to others, get advice, and learn about others' experiences. Basically, what you guys have just, very kindly summarized. Make sure you consider alternative options. If the
Mm.
one doesn't pan out, what's your backup? Do you have a backup? Selecting what you feel from your gained understanding is the best at meeting your needs. Okay. And then remember, prayer is always important when you need guidance. So some of the things that we kind of think about when we're making decisions. I know we were talking about a little bit more lighter stuff, and well, I don't know if food decision making is that light, but comparative
Serious
to
thing.
maybe others, yeah, compared to other more serious decisions that we may have to make. What decisions have been, I guess, challenging for both of you? What decisions do you find the most difficult to make? I think decision making in general can be difficult just because you're considering so many different things, right? But what kind of decision making has been the most difficult for you?
Choosing between like two needs, I would say, is a something that I like struggle when like I would say in terms of like the final decision, I know what to decide. Like well, it's best if I mention the example that I'm referring to. Like let's say, like I mentioned before that I'm currently job hunting. So if I find a job that I like, or like it just has all the qualities that I'm looking for in a job, but it has this one thing where, oh, you won't, like it would get in the way of like me performing my duties. Like it's I know it's kind of tough, but I know what the decision I'm gonna make is. But it's like, even if I know the decision that I'm gonna make, even if I know that I'm still gonna choose my duties, over that work, it's still there's still that feeling of regret. There's still that feeling of, too bad, or like kind of sad, at the back of my mind. Like it's still, I would say it was still a hard decision to make, but it was like a decision that I knew I had to make.
Okay. What about you, Abe? Any thoughts on this challenging decisions that you've had to make?
Personal challenges that I have when making decisions are are ones that are I'd call longer journeys, because along the way, at least with my mind and just overthinking everything, a lot of things could go wrong, or even like a slight misstep, or going off track might be discouraging to me. So um and if I also like have a dedicated time frame for a set goal, um doing the constant like evaluation throughout the entire process, like, am I on my way there? Am I not doing as much as I can? A lot of those things weigh on my mind, and that's what makes, for me personally, decision making difficult. But to get over that, I just think of the end goal, the long term thing that you want to accomplish, and if um, you're making steps toward that goal, no matter how small they may be. I mean, you're still taking a step forward regardless, and so that's how I was able to overcome it. For so like example, um, maybe like health decisions are something that you may be struggling with. For at least me, like I've been back and forth when it comes to my weight, and so taking into account, family history and all of, those things that I have to keep in mind. That end goal of, bettering my overall health is what is pushing me forward. And if that means having to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning just to get in a workout before my 9 to 5 work, then it's, a sacrifice, because, it lessens my sleep from the night before. But um w- at the end, it's what makes it worth it. So there's a lot of, give and take, a lot of sacrifices that you may not be comfortable doing just because it was, routine to do something in the past. But once you do make that change, it could be scary, it could be intimidating. But um, once you find comfort in, being able to say, I've done this, I could do it again, that's what helps me push forward. And it could be a long journey, maybe longer than you think, but progress is still progress, and that's what pushes me forward. Although it may be difficult, you're still, on the way.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Both of yours having that aspect of something being difficult, right? Those feelings that kind of come up when we're facing tough decisions, or what I like to say is, there are certain trade-offs that we have to make when we make, more challenging or more difficult decisions, right? We think about what's at stake. We think about potential sacrifices that we have to make, like you mentioned, Abe. And that idea of making effective decisions, right? When we say effective, it means it's actually working. Like your decision is actually working, you're following through. And it makes me think, if I can go back to more of a lighter example, like when you're choosing to maybe eat a little healthier, or being more conscious of your diet, or for those who may be trying to be more disciplined in certain aspects of your life, right? It's not just a single decision that you are making to in order to make it effective, but it's a series of decisions after that too as well, isn't it?
Mm.
Kind of in that
Yeah, you
way.
have
What are your thoughts
that
on that?
overreaching like goal of like, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and then there's going to be choices that you're gonna have to make in like those in each like step, right, of the way, like with what Abe mentioned, that you have this goal of like reaching this weight, right? And then like you have those little decisions you have to make. You have to wake up early, sleep in, wake up early, uh, like eat this much, or eat like eat a little less than that, or eat less than that. Like in terms of like like, do you eat this chocolate cake or do you eat this salad? Right? Like there's just giving examples, but there's like you have that overreaching goal, but you also have to make a decision, right? You decide that this is the end goal that I want, but there's decisions that you make in each step of the way to get there as well.
Yeah, so it's not just the initial decision, but it's a
The initial
series of
decision
what you're doing
is just
after.
you deciding, I'm gonna do this,
Hmm.
I'm gonna meet this goal, and the decisions, but you still make the decisions to get to that goal. It's not just I decide to be healthy, and it's just it's just
and
okay, you're healthy.
and that's usually, well, at least sometimes that's usually the hardest thing to do, is like that
Mm,
first step, like what I mentioned before, because you're used to a routine and just how things were going. Taking that side step of doing something you're not used to is can be a little frightening. And once you take that step, once you make that decision, you've gone over like that hurdle already, and so you could just keep pushing forward from that point. So
So my question to that, uh, in terms of what you just mentioned, Abe, is if the first step is the hardest step, how do we kind of get ourselves to really push through and get ourselves there, even though it's scary, even though it's, it can be daunting or intimidating? Before we answer that, though, I do want to read and greet those who have been in Team Live Chat, if I can get help from Abe and EJ.
Hmm.
all the way back from the start of the show. I know we had a lot that were already tuning in with
I want to
us.
greet Darano, our CFO advisor, Ka Junior, because I saw him in the live
Yay!
trainings earlier.
Thanks for supporting, po. Thanks
Mm,
for tuning. Oh yeah, I see it now. We have brother Rod Christoph Reyes, who's there in Team Live Chat, as well as brother Andrew, who's tuning in again, who was there earlier, tuning into our show. Ka Luisa from Vancouver, and we did mention Sister Rachel Cruz,
I saw
Sister.
Sister Lucy and Chada as well from Virginia,
Yee.
Philippines.
Yes. And
And
then
Sister Danielle Macalintal, very familiar name. Hello po. And the Macalintals, it's good to see you there in Team Live Chat po. Yeah, I can't scroll anymore.
Oh,
I don't know how
I
to
see
scroll.
Cat DJ Angeles there as well. It's
Woo!
saying hashtag Hillsboro, hashtag St. Albans. I think that's their account. As well as to Benny and Ruth Castillo. Thank you for tuning in with us as well.
Hello also to Hera Brannon, and then also to Sister Mary Jane Angeles and April Romero.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, I'm right here. Yes.
And Ka Arman, I'm sorry, Paul, I can't pronounce your last name. But thank you for tuning in with us. Thank you, everyone. Ka Floripis. I'm so sorry, Paul, if I'm mispronouncing your name. And sister, uh, I'm not sure if that's sister or brother LJ, but there's a LJ Yanesa also there in Team Live Chat. So let us know, for those who are tuning in with us in Team Live Chat, how did you, I guess, get yourself to make that first decision of something difficult? Like we know the first step to anything is usually the hardest step to make to really get ourselves there. So in your example, create,
Hmm.
how did you really like push through with it, even though you might have gotten that pushback of like, oh, this might be hard, oh, this might be, you start thinking of all the possibly the negatives might start coming in and overwhelming the positive. How do you kind of get through that?
Okay. You did kind of mention one thing that I do earlier. It was research. Just so I could get a better understanding of what were to happen if I did, take this certain path or like make this certain decision. Um, Not only just like my own personal research, but asking other people about if they've done a similar thing, like what happened to them, how they overcame obstacles. Because we could be walking, similar paths in the decision that we make, and so getting that other viewpoint of what can happen helps you kind of prepare in a way for so it's not really completely unexpected, right? You do sort of have a sense of what will come your way and how to face that. But there was also I think Sister Lucy mentioned it earlier, and there was also a suggestion you mentioned earlier in the broadcast was to pray, because having doubts, worrying, um, if you're going to constantly do that, then your mind's going to dwell on the doubt, on the worry, instead of what can I do to move forward? What are the next steps that I can control? And so, realigning your focus on those aspects of the decision making will, give you some kind of peace, some kind of comfort, um, and having your mind stray to all of those possibilities is not going to help. And so that's what I try to do when it comes to those hard decisions that I have to make. um, Find your peace, because you don't want to make a decision irrationally either. Once you have all of your options lined up, um, those are the things I try to do. Was you know look at every or as many possibilities as you can, do as much research as you can, and if it is for your in the end your improvement and your growth, then how is that going to hurt you in the end? And if I do want to bring this point out, if you do make a mistake, it's okay. It's not something to feel bad about. If it is like that first time taking that journey, it's a learning experience. You take what happened to you you grow from it, you learn from it, and you analyze what you did, make sure you don't do that again, so that you can move forward. So I guess that is another aspect of the decision making to remind ourselves of, right, that mistakes probably will happen, and that's okay. Um,
Your answer, it reminds me of like knowing your reason why you're taking that first step in the first place, right? Like you don't, of course, you don't just decide, like, just going back to the health example, you don't just decide that, oh, I'm going to be healthy, or I'm going to reach this weight. Why? Why are you, why do you want to reach, that weight? Because, I don't like getting winded just going up the stairs, right? I don't like not being able to catch up with my other fellow Kadiwan Binhi, right? When they're having those, when, like, let's say they go to laser tag, or one of those games where you have to like run around so much, right? Like, you need to know, of course, you need to know why you're making that decision, that overreaching decision that I mentioned earlier. You need to know why you're making it, because if you don't know why, why you're making it in the first place, then I feel like you would you'll reach a point where you'll question yourself, like, why am I waking up at 5 in the morning? Why am I eating a salad instead of a chocolate cake that I wanted to eat? Like, why,
like you're
why
reading my mind.
why am I running so much that I'm out of breath? Like, you need to know, like, because if you know why you're doing that, when you ask yourself that, why am I waking up at 5 in the morning? Because I need to work out. I need to get a workout in before I go to work, right? I need to get a workout in. Why do I need to get a workout in? So I can reach that goal that I set for myself, right? But yeah, that's what you're when you were talking. That's like what popped in my mind, knowing your reason
Yeah,
why you need to take that first step, why you need to reach that goal. Right?
yeah, that aligns with Benny Castillo's comment in the
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah, he said,
Mm-hmm.
before I make my decision and choose which option to take, I ask myself first, is it really important to accomplish it? And if you do have that end goal in mind, if that decision is going to get you there, that's where you find your value in that goal, the importance of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I know this is we've kind of gotten in a more I guess more serious tone in terms of this topic, just because it's when we want to be effective, right? We want to make sure that it, like what I said earlier, it's a follow through. It's something that we do take seriously. It maybe not every single decision, like making dinner, or like the ones that we were joking about earlier, but making effective decisions could be like a make or break, right, in certain aspects of our life. And to speak on what you both kind of mentioned it earlier, and not super directly, but a lot of it also just kind of trails back to what our values are, like what's important to us. A lot of our decision making can be based off of those things, right? Like what is valuable to me, what is important for me to kind of protect, or to keep, right? And I like what you mentioned also, Abe, in terms of not doubting. That's actually very on point too. Something that we received recently in one of our worship services in the Church of Christ, that it's important for us not to doubt when we do our prayers, and be confident that when we pray and we make those decisions, that God is going to be there for us, and that God will take care of us. And if things don't work out the way that we think it will after we made that decision, then we pray again and we ask for that guidance and trust that God will guide us where we need to go. And that's why the importance of prayer is always so big for us. Now, we've kind of touched on a lot of different examples in terms of decisions maybe that um, might be difficult for us. But what would be your your best advice um, for someone who may be struggling with a decision right now, that they don't know maybe where to start, they don't know what their options are, or they just feel stuck. What would be your advice to someone who's in that position, and they can't bring themselves to make a decision? Same for you, team live chat. What would be your and we kind of been asking that throughout the show, but what's your best advice for someone who may be struggling with a difficult decision?
Mm. I would say a question you can ask yourself: how badly do you want this? Right? Uh,
Mm.
how badly do you want this? Like, let's say, again, going back to the example we used earlier, in like having a goal, like a weight goal that you're trying to reach. How badly do you want it? Like, do you want it badly enough that you're willing to wake up 5 in the morning to work out? Like, do you want it badly enough that you're willing to give up some of the foods that you enjoy so you can reach it? Like, how badly do you want to reach that goal, right? And it's always gonna be up to you, right? Now, and again, want to reiterate what Abe mentioned about not being too harsh on yourself as well when you make a mistake, right? Because I will say this from experience. It's up to you when you fail. Like, like when you give up, that's when you fail, not when you make a mistake. When you make a mistake, you make a mistake. That's that's what it is. you know Making a mistake is not failing. Giving up is like when you decide, I don't want it badly enough to you know I don't want it badly enough to give up the foods that I enjoy. Right. Right. And then that's when you come in with the alternative options. Well, maybe I can't reach that goal, but maybe I can reach this goal. Right. Like, instead of just to give numbers, instead of saying, instead of reaching 160 pounds, maybe I'll reach 180 and I'll be satisfied with that. So like, that's when you come in with the alternative option, right? The backup plan. Right. But this is what I'm gonna say. If you're having a hard time deciding, you know, with your whatever decision it is, it's hard because I can't think of like a specific example, but just based off the examples we gave, that's what I can say.
What about for you, Abe? Any thoughts on this?
I was gonna say, to answer EJ's question about the foods. You can still have your favorite foods, but just not all the time and in moderation. That's my suggestion there. So you don't need to completely deprive yourself, because that's just not how we eat normally, right? You do want a little bit of a treat here every now and then. So as long as you plan for it. So that kind of goes with what we were talking about before with the planning and all the options. If you're able to use this as the example with health and nutrition, if you're able to, give yourself enough of a caloric deficit wherein you can have that treat, go ahead. But that comes with the planning of what you have with your other meals too. So like swapping out rice for something maybe not as carb heavy or something like that, for an example. But um what I would give as a tip is in like what we've all mentioned before. I really do think that making sure you have as much knowledge as you can about that decision as possible. Um, and there could be times where you really are going in blind, for example, like you really don't know what the outcome can be. But if you're able to, you know, if you're able to eliminate an option just because after all that research you see that it isn't the best, then it does help. So just I don't want to be repetitive because we've said it a lot of times in the show, but really weighing out the options and being firm in that end goal um, is how I weigh out, um, that this decision will be the best. Um, yeah, it can be overwhelming, right? Especially if there are many options that could give similar weight of the outcome. But um, you know yourself best, and if um, those decisions will help you in the long term, you can go ahead and follow through with it. And like what EJ said too, you can always have that backup if that one plan doesn't work out. So it's just another path to get to that destination at the end.
I guess for me, what I would say is that in order to make an effective decision, in the decisions that I've had to make, don't be afraid to give yourself time. Because sometimes there might be times where we won't have time, where it might have to be something that's a little bit quicker. But if you can take the time to make the decision, that I would take the time, to not rush yourself, to not feel like it's something that has to be right then and there, because you what's been my experience at least is that um, if you are not in a good headspace when you're making especially a difficult decision, you don't know if you would feel differently after the fact, right? Like if you're in high in emotions, if you're high in something that where there's some kind of different intensity in you, like when that goes away, whether it's both negative or positive emotions, like when that goes away and you don't feel those emotions anymore and you're more at something that's base and calm, in order for your decision to be effective, right, you would have still wanted that even without those emotions there, right? um, we don't want to be dictated, not that we are ignoring what our feelings are, but we don't want to be dictated by our feelings in that way, being able to make decisions clearly with a clear mind, and really like what has been said, thinking things through, because we don't want to have I guess I know that we make mistakes is what Queer Abe mentioned, but we also, if we can minimize the regrets that we have when we do things, it's good for us to do that as well, to really think carefully, and thoughtfully about things, not to the point of overthinking. I'm not going to promote overthinking, although I am definitely an overthinker. But that's what I would say is that, don't let your emotions dictate what your decisions are going to be, because you don't want to end up on the other end of that decision and realize later on, like,
Mhm.
was that the right thing to do? Because
I
in
would
that
say
moment, I was,
at a point, emotions do affect our decisions, or all decisions are affected by emotions at one point. But
mhm,
only at a certain point. Like not
yes,
letting it. What you're saying is not letting it reach to where the entire decision is based off just how you felt
yes,
that moment.
yes, because it's a lot harder when you can't take certain things back. So that's my advice, especially for someone, but of course, don't that's the other end of it too, don't overthink it. Don't
Mhm.
overthink it, because as Christians, we believe that our almighty God has our back, right? That our almighty God has our back. So when we pray, we make a decision, trust that he'll guide you where you need to go, and then just follow through, right? So this discussion has been helpful. I hope not just for those in Team Live Chat, but it's been very helpful to me because decision making can be intimidating, can be challenging, but it can also be fun, right? Being able to see what opportunities that we have, what options are there for us when we really get to step back and look at it. It's nice to be able to see that, but to really be effective is really thinking of what's your end game, um, your long term, like what we discussed, and what you seek to gain out of that decision, right? As simply as what you want for dinner. Right? Like as simply as choosing what you want to dinner, being cost effective, being healthy. What are the things that we're thinking about here? So, hopefully, all of you there in Team Live Chat who have tuned in with us today, we appreciate you commenting there. And I see Brother Ronnie Bayuga. Yes, we did not move to Oregon. We're just here having a good conversation today. Um, on behalf of Manang Flo. So, any last thoughts, guys, before we close out? I know we also have some greetings that we do want to read.
Okay. I think I'll let EJ go first because I
Oh,
want to
greetings.
I want to verbalize my final thoughts.
Okay, if we're doing greetings, then I just want to say I just want to say happy birthday to my mom. Her
Oh,
birthday is on Monday. I didn't get to say it earlier. Her birthday is on Monday, so just happy birthday to my mom, Elsa Bella Cruz.
so sweet. Well, at least the final thought on you kind of touched on it, Tony, but it is really nice to once you completed that end goal to look back on the journey and say to yourself like, "Oh, this was worth it." Especially if you have, those ups and downs and if it was a difficult path, right? That boosts your self-confidence and telling yourself that you were able to accomplish that goal despite whatever you went through. It does really make you feel good. So and you can push yourself to even to further goals, right? So it is a process, it is a journey, but um look back at the end of it and you'll you'll feel good about yourself. So on behalf of INC Radio Oregon, we would like to give special acknowledgments and thank yous to our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, and Brother Angelo Aranyo Manalo, our SEBSI president, CFO coordinator. Thank you for allowing us to have programs like this one. INC Radio Northern Midwest to briefly promote that one too, and INC Radio Oregon, wherein we're able to share the activities from all of our districts. And we also would like to thank you all for all that you do for the brethren, wherever we are in the world. On specifically for INC Radio Oregon, I would just like to give a brief shout out um, for some belated birthdays, upcoming birthdays, and anniversaries too. So a belated birthday on the 19th to Brother D'Angelo Vem Canlas from the local congregation of Boise. Brother Danny J. Angeles, they're in Hillsborough and St. Helens. Happy belated birthday to you, brother DJ. And excuse me, on August 26th, we have some upcoming activities, birthdays, and anniversaries. On the 26th, happy upcoming birthday to Sister Maylee Reyes from Vancouver, and that's also her wedding anniversary. So happy anniversary in advance to Sister Maylee and Brother Rod Reyes. Again from Vancouver. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here in your program of INC Radio Oregon. Also, shout outs to I see from Medford GWS as well. Oh, and another greeting I see from Sister Melissa. Sister Marisol Santos is also celebrating the birthday, and Sister Rachel Arlos, hashtag Hillsborough. So thank you all for letting us join the broadcast today. Um, it's okay.
Happy birthday!
You'll see Sister Jillian, Sister Flo. They'll be back next week. Don't worry. But we'd like to be back. Maybe we'll do a joint broadcast or something in the future. So, yes, thank you for having us. Anything else before we wrap up?
Nope. Thanks everyone for having us. This is fun. Hope to see you guys again soon. But don't forget to share this link with your friends and family for anyone who may be going through a tough decision. And coming up next is INC Radio
Alaska.
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 Yes. Okay.
Yes, we're
All right,
moving
everyone.
further west, but we're not going
We're
that.
moving further. Yeah, I guess. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, from the hand down, and then yeah, geography. Okay, that's the sign. It's time to go. Thanks everyone for tuning in
Thank
with
you,
us.
everyone in
See you
Oregon.
same time next week.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye bye. Ayaw yata tayo pala.